Good morning everyone, my name is Michelle, I hope you're doing well. Welcome to another video. It is Saturday morning and it's Christmas Eve. Happy Christmas Eve to everyone. Hope you have a blessed day. I will be putting a video out as normal tomorrow, Christmas Day. So don't worry, content will still be coming over the Christmas period. But for those of you who've been following my mini-series Cold Case Christmas, where I've posted a different cold case or unsolved murder every single day from the 1st of December to the 24th, including today, it is the very last episode today. So those of you who've been following that series, I hope you've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed doing it. The videos were intended to raise awareness for these cases, some of which are quite recent but still inactive, or older cases that date back to the 70s and 80s, where tips have just dried up long ago and the police have these files and there's no movement on them whatsoever. And I did this series in hope that it would jog some memories. So please do share the videos out, especially if you're in one of the areas that's been covered, because you never know. You never know, there might be somebody who's prepared to talk now, after a few years. And raising awareness for these cases, I think it's really important. Although the views on them aren't that great compared to the views that I get on, let's say, the Idaho 4 or even Summer Wells still, I think those videos are still important. So do share them out. And if you missed any, they're all in a Cold Case Christmas playlist over on Michelle Walks. So that's that. I want to talk about the Idaho 4 murders today, and there's a couple of topics that have come out overnight my time that I want to share. Firstly, the Uber driver, the private driver, I think it was Uber, it doesn't really matter, but like the cab driver, the taxi driver, the person who took Kaylee and Maddie home from the grub truck. So you see them leaving, you see them turning left, and then hoodie guy kind of throws his arms up. I've walked them here, I've waited for them to get food, and now they've gone and got a ride and left me to walk home by myself. That's certainly the impression I get as to what happened there. I'm going to read this thread from Alex Caprariello, I think I pronounced that. He's a News Nation reporter. So the thread is on Twitter, but I'm just going to read it all. It's quite comprehensive. So this is what the rideshare driver said. Didn't want to appear on camera. A few channels have reported on this. I think it's very interesting and it's very, very useful to get inside the heads of Kaylee and Maddie from a first-hand point of view, probably the last person to see them before they were murdered. So, Alex says, I just spoke to the rideshare driver who drove Maddie and Kaylee home on the night of the Idaho 4 murders. Here's what he told me. The driver, who asked to remain anonymous, says that he has driven the girls home many times. While sometimes their conversations are about boys, this was not the case that night. He said they were not fearful or skittish in any way. The driver tells me there's no indication there was anything wrong with the house that night. It was a typical Saturday night and the frats were partying. So they were partying at the frat house. We know there was a lot of activity at the frat house. What we don't know is what exactly happened inside the Sigma Chi house where Ethan and Xana were partying. That's a big black hole of no information whatsoever. And as far as I know, the police are still trying to work out exactly what happened at the Sigma Chi house. And to be honest, I think that angle is more important, much more important, in my opinion, than Hoodie Guy or anyone else who was at the grub truck or anyone else that Kaylee and Maddie encountered at their time at the corner club. And the fact that there's no indication that they were skittish, fearful, they didn't even mention any boys, tells me that they weren't concerned whatsoever about Hoodie Guy. He was just a guy who offered to walk them home and they left him. for whatever reason. But they weren't fearful of him, they weren't skittish, they weren't saying, oh, what a creeper. There was no comments about Hoodie Guy whatsoever, which reinforces my belief that he was completely innocent. Also, this audio that came out, this few seconds of audio that came out a few days ago about Maddie telling Adam everything, Adam wasn't mentioned. So the people who think Adam has got something to do with it, the bartender from the corner club who allegedly is friends with Jack D, Kaylee's ex, I don't know who he's friends with, but they didn't mention him either. So whatever conversation they were having with Hoodie Guy regarding Adam seemingly is irrelevant in Kaylee and Maddie's minds, and you've just got to think, well, it's not relevant, full stop, period. He said he dropped the girls off and drove away. He didn't watch them go inside. He figured that they were safe because they were together. After dropping them off, he went to Taco Bell and then he went home. He didn't hear about the murders until the next morning. Within a few days, suspecting he might get a call from the police, he called the tip line himself and shared everything he knew. He says the police already knew that he was their driver. He turned over his GPS information, proving he had left the girls after dropping them off. He has, from the start, never been listed as a potential suspect. Along with the two surviving roommates and along with Hoodie Guy, this driver was one of the first people that the police came out and said they weren't interested in, they didn't believe had anything to do with the murders. But yet still people are targeting the roommates, still people are thinking that Hoodie Guy is the person responsible. I don't know, open yourself up for defamation, but we'll come on to that in a second. Okay, when I asked him if he replays the night and that ride with Kaylee and Maddie over in his head, he told me every single day. There's nothing he could have done. I mean, we're all wise in the benefit of hindsight, but there's nothing he could have done. He did his job. He took the girls home. He thought they were safe. They should have been safe in their own home. Then he went on to say, I have a very good memory. I wasn't followed. There was no one there. There was nothing weird. There was absolutely nothing strange about that street. There was no one on the street with their lights on. It was just a normal night on Greek Row. So this was around, they got in at 1:56. So about an hour before that murder hour, right? The police estimate the murders took place between 3 and 4 a.m. So an hour before that, there was no one around. There was no one lying in wait an hour before that. There could have been someone round the back, because from the front, you can't see that back car park. So there could have been someone round the back. I would think that that's where they would park. They went in through the back sliding doors. I don't think they'd have hung out round the front. It's just too open. There's too many windows. You know, it just takes somebody to look out of their window. So round the back where it's really dark, you could park a car, turn your lights off. No one would think anything of a car being parked in a car park, would they? And then you wait for the lights to go off. Or I'm still considering the frat house theory, which I've talked about a couple of times now, but who knows? He, like most people, is worried that the killer is still on the loose. He wishes Moscow PD would share more on their investigative efforts. Obviously they can't, because it would compromise the integrity of the investigation. I understand people's concerns that the police aren't doing enough, but I think we just have to trust that they are. And they're keeping things very close to the vest for a very good reason. There has been a very little amount of information coming from MPD as to what is happening, and I would argue that's causing a significant amount of distrust within the community. And then Alex says, I'll be live on Banfield in 10 minutes to discuss more about my conversation with this rideshare driver and new details we've learned about this case. So that was on Banfield if you want to go and check that out. Someone called Emma has responded saying, they said it was a rideshare service provided by the sorority. When did it become an Uber driver? I don't know. I don't know whether this was an Uber driver or whether this was another type of rideshare. I guess it doesn't matter. Someone else says, sure wish we could hear more from the two survivors, Dylan and Bethany. Where exactly were they that night? Yeah, I would imagine that they've been told not to talk. I think it would inflame the situation with people willing to open themselves up for defamation. I don't know. I think they're doing the right thing in not speaking out. I understand that people want to know where they were and what they were doing. Did they bring anyone home? Yeah, I've got all of the same questions. Katie says that something very good here. He absolutely should remain anonymous so the internet doesn't ruin his life. That's absolutely true. The internet is insane. Absolutely insane. And that brings me on to a history professor at the University of Idaho who is suing a TikToker. This TikToker has made over 20 videos about this history professor claiming that she is involved in the murders. She doesn't even know Kaylee, Maddie, Ethan and Xana. She's never met them to her knowledge. She's never had them in any of her classes. And there's also this claim that she's been in a relationship with one of them, which she says is false, absolutely false. She doesn't know any of them. I got this statement from Law and Crime Network. There was an interesting segment on that channel, Law and Crime's Sidebar. So this is from Wendy Olson, the attorney for Rebecca Schofield, who is the history professor who is suing a TikToker for consistently making videos that are false, that are damaging Rebecca Schofield's reputation. She's had threats to her life. Her family has had threats to their lives. This is insane. Please, guys, whatever platform you're on, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, wherever, please be careful. It's not just about the fact that you might be sued. You're ruining people's lives. You are ruining people's lives. So this is what the attorney said. The statements made about Professor Schofield are false, plain and simple. What's even worse is that these untrue statements create safety issues for the professor and her family. They also further compound the trauma that the families of the victims are experiencing and undermine law enforcement's efforts to find the people responsible in order to provide answers to the families and the public. Professor Schofield twice sent cease and desist letters to Miss Gillard, but Miss Gillard has continued to make false statements knowing they are false. Thus, this lawsuit became necessary to protect Professor Schofield's safety and her reputation. Good on her. Right, I'm totally against frivolous lawsuits, but enough's enough. Enough is enough. No reason as to why this history professor should be implicated in the murders. I don't know what this TikToker has been saying. I haven't listened to the TikToks. But whatever she believes, whether she's got some kind of obsession about this woman, I don't know what the backstory is. But plain and simple, these statements are false. Why continue to talk about them after you've received cease and desist letters? I'll be watching this very carefully because, it sets a precedent. It opens the doors for other people to file lawsuits against people on the internet. If they're reporting on any case, you've got a responsibility to do so responsibly. Don't put anyone's reputation or life in danger. I don't know, guys. I don't know what else to say. It's ridiculous. It's gone crazy. Social media should hold itself in the very same standards that mainstream media does. Mainstream media don't always get it right. Mainstream media gets sued sometimes. If you're reporting on true crime of any kind, of any case, do so responsibly. Doesn't mean to say that you can't talk about theories or speculate. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying that you just have to be careful. Accusing people damages their lives, ruins their lives. Please don't do this. All right, guys, let me know what you think about the rideshare driver, Uber, whoever he is. Let me know what you think about this lawsuit against this TikToker, Miss Gillard. Is Rebecca Schofield, the professor, doing the right thing? I think she is. And I'll see you very soon. I've been Michelle. Hope you're well. I'll see you in the next video, Christmas Day. Goodbye from Miss Tillington and Miss Cassie Springer. Bye, guys.